Hello, everyone. Ryan Embry here, live at NYU IHIF 2026, here with Jan, National Director of Hospitality Analytics at Costar. Jan, you were just on a panel. Thanks for taking the time. Jump off and speak with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
State of the state, love the name. Obviously, you're a North Star of hospitality data out there, Jan. Revised forecasts just came out. Talk to us a little bit about those points that you were sharing with the audience today.
Yeah, so we're suggesting that RevPAR this year is going to grow 2.8%, which is very different from the way we looked at the world at the Alice Hotel Investment Conference. First quarter performance was much stronger than we had expected, than the publicly traded companies had expected, the brands or the REITs. And a lot of them have revised their year-end forecast up, so we followed suit. Now, most of them just revised their forecast by the outperformance of Q1, but we're suggesting, no, there's momentum. So we actually took our forecast up by a lot more to 2.8%, 2% driven by ADR and 0.8% by occupancy, which is really good to see because it implies that demand is outpacing supply.
Yeah.
So we get occupancy gains and then some pricing power.
Love to see that. I mean, we were here a year ago with Amanda, who was talking about trying to decipher through the noise. A lot of noise right now, but great to see the momentum with those revisions. And so important to have those revisions because the landscape can change ever so rapidly, as you know. But talking about the supply, talk to us a little bit, go into a little bit more in depth. And then obviously every market is different. What markets right now are running a little bit hot on supply?
Yeah, so national forecast for supply growth is 0.4%, not a whole lot, right? The long run average is 1.6, so we're well below that. The number of rooms in construction used to be between 150, 160,000. It's now 140,000. So it's sort of staying there. It was just so expensive to get anything done. And interest rates are still high and could go higher. Who knows? We're not making interest rate forecasts, but there's definitely no longer this idea of, we should cut interest rates twice this year or so. I think those days are gone, And so now the question is, okay, so where are people getting things done? And you can look at it by markets. So a couple of them are your usual suspects. So Nashville, very strong. Dallas, Houston, Denver, Phoenix. So those are markets sort of in the smile state, sort of in the Sun Belt, that still get a lot of people moving there. And, migration determines, the economic performance. Yeah. And so we're seeing a lot more room supply growth there. But there are just a lot of markets where it's very, very hard to get anything done because of that higher cost of construction and of the higher interest rate. So I would single out those markets, but overall the picture is rather muted on the supply side. So what that means then for existing owners is the time to renovate is right now. So, because you want to be the new kid on the block, quote unquote, the new hotel. There's not a lot of new competition coming. This is the time to renovate and really put your best foot forward.
100%. And, one of the other topics we talked about, or you talked about rather on stage, was segments right now. Luxury doing very, very well, leading the way. Obviously, a lot of bifurcation, that K-shaped economy. What are you seeing across the segments right now?
Yeah, I mean, there are no wrong answers in luxury, right? I mean, luxury last year was the winner. This year is the winner. We're projecting, very, very healthy RevPAR growth, double of what we're saying for the nation. We think the luxury class can materialize. And then what's really nice to see is that for upscale, upper mid-scale, there's also RevPAR growth there, which we hadn't seen last year. And to me, that speaks to the strength really of the American economy, but it sort of permeates toward all income classes. Now, the exception was, and unfortunately will be likely, the economy sector. Now, even there, we're suggesting RevPAR is growing, but it's just, 0.8%. Call that flat for all intents and purposes.
International travel, too. Obviously, World Cup on the heels of this. What are you? Any interesting data points there you want to share just right ahead of the America 250 and World Cup?
There are two very different vibes coming from the panel that I was on. Adam Sachs, prior to us presenting, was talking about, international inbound is really still quite a bit lower than it was in 2019. But the gentleman from the NTTO, the National Travel Tourism Organization, was like, no, we're projecting rock and roll, really strong growth of international inbound. The truth is probably going to somewhere in between. This year, World Cup is going to drive a lot of international travelers. What I'm wondering about, though, is are some of those travelers basically stealing from 2025 and from 2027? And are they saying, let's not go in 25, let's go in 26? And then when next year comes around, they're like, we just went to the US, and not go in 27 either. So I just hope that the more positive spin from the government comes true, and not that we're just sort of packing everything into this year, and then international inbound is going to deteriorate.
Yeah. So many interesting data points. Any one in particular you have your eyes on where, obviously we love a nice rosy outlook and try to look for opportunities through all of the data that's out there, but any ones that are like unexpected data points or something that you're at least keeping an eye on right now?
Yeah, so there are a couple, but the one that I'm really focused on is consumer price index. Everything is getting more expensive. And so that means that hotels will see their costs increase. And the big question then is, how much of that cost increase can they pass on to the customer? I just told you that our ADR forecast for this year is 2%, and inflation is going to be what, 3.5 or something? I mean, it's going to be much more than that, outpacing that. So that's really the crux, and I think that's what we here at NYU to talk to owners and investors and management companies and figure out, okay, so how can we keep our margins expanding even, maybe? How do you do that in this environment where top line growth maybe not keeping pace with inflation? So the CPI number is really something I'm keeping an eye on.
Yeah, pretty challenging time right now when it comes to margins and hospitality that we, again, trying to suss out and figure out here. What are those maybe opportunistic data points that you're seeing that you're saying, this is really good, maybe unexpected on the other end of the spectrum?
Yeah, I think the Americans are wealthier than they ever have been. And Adam Sachs has this fascinating data point where he shows that the middle class in America is shrinking, but part of it is because a lot more people are rich.
Yeah.
So people are moving up the income chain, and that allows them then to spend more money on experiences. It's very clear that people favor experiences over goods. Yes. And we are right in that sweet spot.
That continues to be the experience over stuff. We love to see that. And then you're kind of here celebrating anniversary birthday of your podcast. Is it? You're usually typically used to being the host, not so much the guest. So thank you. Tell us a little bit more, and maybe where our hotel audience can find the insights that you provide.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. So we have our own podcast. My colleague Isaac Colazo from STR and myself get together once a month. It's called Tell Me More, a hospitality data podcast. And 3 years ago at Juniors across the street over cheesecake, we sort of hatched the idea. And so now we're, almost 30 episodes into it. And we get together once a month and we just sort of riff on the data, and hopefully you can join us.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, Jan, thank you so much. Appreciate you. A very busy time. Appreciate you stopping by and talking to us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.